And we're back, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Daniel Duncan Show. Um, we're here today to talk about the NBA playoffs that's going on. Um,
Yeah,
yep, it's that time of year, and we're in the second round right now. And tonight we just had the Knicks and the Pacers game, so this is a little bit of a nightcap episode.
so
Talk about what just happened. Dan, how are you feeling today? It's really nice out.
perfect day today, weather-wise. I was outside earlier, pumping my Bose speaker earlier
Yeah?
out on the back patio. And how about those New York Knicks? How about them, man? You know, they are just an unbelievable team, man. Brunson, best passion in the league. He's incredible.
Before we get into that, I think the fans are going to want to know on this Wednesday, what's on your feet, Dan?
Let me get to that. I'm gonna change it up a little
Oh,
bit.
shoot. Okay. We've never seen those on stream before.
The Korg, the
The
Corgis.
corgis. Wow. Love it, dude. You might have to wear the pugs next time.
I might. Mylene was saying you better go with those next.
Now that you and the pug are friends,
Yeah.
she loved you, dude.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so getting into tonight's game. So, the New York Knicks defeated the Indiana Pacers in
Yeah.
game
Let's
two,
go.
130 to 121, as Reggie Miller was able to call the first Knicks Pacers playoff game in quite some time. So he got a front row seat to a really good game, Dan. But ultimately, looking at the box score, Jalen Brunson, 29 points. He's averaging 37 the entire playoff so far. Isaiah Hartstein, after Mitchell Robinson went down last game,
Yep.
splendid 14 and 12. And then Josh Hart flirting with a triple double, 19, 15, and 7 assists. Dante DiVincenzo, Dan, 27 points, a lot of big shots at the end of the game.
Yep.
And then OG Anunoby, who went down late, he added 28 points. So the core pieces of the Knicks all had really good games. And then on the other side, outside of Tyrese Halliburton's 31 and 9, shots weren't falling and
Yep.
for the Pacers. So um yeah, we'll talk about those kind of injuries and what the rest of the series will look like. But talk to me about this game, Dan. This was a really good game. This went down to the wire.
From the beginning, the Knicks came out on fire. You mentioned Reggie Miller in the Garden for the first time since he played. The last ever playoff game was 2000 for him. First time as a broadcaster. They gave it to him early, early in the telecast. But they came out firing. OG Anunoby scored like 15 points off the bat. And then Brunson on this, crossover type play, he tweaked it almost looked like his ankle. Then they said calf, but then the
Yeah.
injury report was a foot.
Hmm.
And so he was out the entire second quarter. And I texted you and I was like, if Brunson's not back in, this game's over. In Indiana at the time, they had like at least a 15-7 run or fifteen
Hmm.
six run, somewhere in there. But, he ended up coming back in the game, got himself going in the third quarter. DiVincenzo in the fourth quarter hitting his shots. So, I mean, those guys ended up with over 20 points. That's what we're looking for when we win these games. And also the Knicks in the crunch time, the last fourth quarter, they're 6-1 winning those games in crunch time moments.
Yeah, they shine in the late stages of the game. Hart and DiVincenzo were pretty much role players on their previous teams, Dan, and they've really been able to, with people like obviously Randall was hurt earlier in the year,
Yep.
and then no Mitchell Robinson. These guys step up and they've found an amazing role. Obviously it's they keep calling them the Villanova Knicks, and
Villanova
I
Knicks. I
guess
love it.
having three guys who played in college together, translates well in the NBA, and so. Um, yeah, it's just a fun group. And I'm curious though, because, when you see they, luckily they got Precious, in the trade for OG,
Yep.
because they lost a lot of minutes with Quickly and RJ Barrett.
That's
But
right.
um I'm curious, Dan. We got two injuries in this game today, and two guys are already out.
Yep.
Tibbs doesn't like to run a deep bench. It seems like his coaching style, very hot and cold reactions. Obviously, if you're gonna want to play, if you're worried about injury and stuff, or I wouldn't mind, thinking of an NBA player, they probably wouldn't mind playing a full game like Josh Hart. But I'm just curious if you think that this, they can make a deeper run in the playoffs if, say OG, depending on his timeline, if he'll be able to play next game. And then obviously Brunson too. He'll probably play through whatever it is, but they got bench pieces. They got some depth, but do you think that the injuries will ultimately catch up to them? Do you think that'll be an issue moving, when the series goes to Indiana?
Possibly, yes. And it's because of them only having like three bench players that they rely on. McBride, Pachua, and then of course we he hasn't played in over a couple of months, but we saw Alec Burks come
Yeah.
into the game. So I mean, and I haven't seen Grimes in a long time. I haven't seen him. So it's maybe, I mean, if you're looking at the medical and injury reports coming up in these next crucial games,
Hmm.
but right now the system that Thibodeau is running, he's running Hart and he's running DiVincenzo and Hartenstein and all those guys for 40 minutes. And I mean, you can do that, but those guys are going to get tired. They need their breathers, they need their rest at least. And so it's going to be crucial in the next two games if, Ananobi's not, going to go. And if Brunson, I mean, he'll go at least, but the injuries are definitely a factor coming up in these next crucial games.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what the series is like now that the Knicks are gonna have to go on the road. But yeah, one guy out of that rotation, dude, and you're gonna have to be relying on Alec Burks for, for
Yeah.
quality minutes. Um, but we've been talking about how just basketball in general is just better when the Knicks are hot. And it seems like there's been a hole, in basketball for some time. And so a player like Jalen Brunson reviving a team that's, supposed to be, among the elite teams in basketball. It's just been really fun to watch. Um, yeah, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, every game that they've played in the postseason so far, it's, there's moments where, I'm nervous because the other team's really good. They got superstar players. And then there's moments where it's like, we got the lead, we got the momentum, we make defensive transition buckets. And I feel like, we have those moments where it's just like, man, can we hold on to a lead here? We saw tonight. We saw tonight when they were up 12, Indiana was up 12.
Hmm.
They had to, get things going. They had to step it up, and they ended up doing that tonight. So it's crucial now.
Yeah, and also just the offensive glass at the end of the game. Like New York got what, like five offensive rebounds at the end, and
Yeah, it
um,
was 5 rebounds.
yeah, that can't happen for Indiana, all those second chance points. And so but yeah, New York, the energy in the crowd, it's helped quite a bit. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how they play on the road. Um and Indiana fans, I don't even know when the last time, they made it to the second round, probably the Paul George era.
2013, 14 when they had
Oh my
George.
gosh, dude, he was so fun to watch when he was on the Pacers.
And of course, they had Miles Turner, who's still playing with them now. And then they had, I think, Roy Hibbert or someone like that, I think.
Yeah, gosh, Roy Hibbert. But yeah, that
Yeah.
that that kind of can transition us to obviously there are more games going on tomorrow. The guy that Paul George was traded for, Paul George is out. The Clippers are out, but the guy they traded for just came off of, an MVP caliber season. So the Oklahoma City Thunder and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, they're up 1-0 in the series, Dan. They play
Yep.
tomorrow. Um, Luca again, no MVP today. Um, Not
I
really a,
thought he'd get it. I thought he'd get it.
it all depends on how your team plays and if you're um, so it makes sense that, the best team, in Joker, but Um, I heard a comparison the other day that Luca's kind of like the Josh Allen of the NBA so far.
Yes, I heard
No
that too.
MVPs and can't make it far in the playoffs. He didn't have the best game. I think he only had 19 points. Tough for him to get looks. This Thunder team is so good, dude. Like
Oh, yeah.
they have hit on so many draft picks as well. Um, and thinking about the way that they set up their team, they have so many future draft picks, and it's like,
Excuse me.
they could shell out all those future picks for a superstar, but it seems like that would screw up the integrity of this young team that is, they're so good, dude. And so yeah, do you think that, this is OKC's series, or how do you think that the Mavericks respond?
I see Oklahoma City winning this series in 6 games. And if it's in between for Dallas to win a couple of games, 5 points or less. You look at the fourth quarters and the third quarters that they've had in the first series that they had against the Clippers, like they were surviving. They were trying to get balls out of bounds. They were trying to get those like 50-50 rebounds and trying to just hold and stop people, but they couldn't do it. And with Shea and with Williams, Jamal Williams, and with
Jalen, yeah.
Isaiah Joe,
Mm-hmm.
and all those young guys
Chat,
that they have. Yeah, Chet.
Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, all of those young guys are just so dominant right now, and it's they're a young, fun team to watch. They honestly remind us of Durant, Westbrook, Ibaka, those era type Thunder. So I think Oklahoma City wins this in 6.
I agree. Um, I just it's hard to, Kyrie Irving is a tremendous player. But as a number two option, I've never really been a fan of that pairing, those two together. Um,
No,
and they're kind of lacking uh with size. And so I totally agree with that. I think it's OKC's series. Um, And then so tomorrow also we have moving on to an East game tomorrow. We have the Cavaliers versus the Celtics. Celtics are up 1-0. Um and it was a very very convincing, blowout win. Um I'd say, everybody wants the Knicks and the Celtics, us included.
Yep.
Um, we just hope that, New York doesn't run out of gas because this Celtics team, Derek White's having, I think he
Oh
just,
yeah,
I think he just set a record for the most three-pointers hit in three consecutive games.
three
Um,
consecutive.
like what happened in San Antonio? How is this guy not a superstar for them? Like,
No,
and then my
it's
guy,
crazy.
yep, and then my guy Peyton Pritchard, of course.
Yep, Oregon.
They love him out there. It's awesome to see him find his role in the NBA. And so I think this is Boston series. What about you?
I have Boston in five. I have they're going to take the first two games, so they'll win tomorrow night at home, and then Cleveland goes back to their place. I think they'll win game four. Boston will be up 3-0,
Hmm.
and then Boston wins it in five. I mean, they're just, I mean, you have Spider Mitch and Donovan Mitchell. You have all these young cats like Garland or Cora. Um, oh, there's one other guy, Struce,
Mobley.
who came over, Mobley, and it's just
Outside of
they
that, though, they're not deep.
no, they're not even deep, and they don't have like the secure like bench that can just come in and just give you 18 to 20 points at least off the bench.
Hmm.
So at Boston, you got Tatum, you got Brown, you got if Porzingis is healthy, if
Hmm.
he's ready to go, you got White. I love Boston, and they're going to play the Knicks in the next round.
Oh man, we need that. We need that. Um, yeah, I agree. Um, that's who we all want. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last matchup then, um, Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets. Holy crap, dude. The Nuggets, they were punched in the mouth twice. No Rudy
Twice.
Gobert game two. Anthony Edwards is, you know, cemented himself as the guy to look for over the next few years as, the potential new face of the league. Shea. Don't forget about Shea as well,
Yep.
obviously. But oh boy, dude, if those two teams, if the Wolves are able to pull it out and we see, Thunder versus Wolves, that would be incredible. But, you know, that's future talk. How do you think Denver responds, dude? They couldn't shots weren't falling for them last game.
I hate to break this to you, but they have no chance. I mean, they're just
No?
outnumbered. They're not the same championship team from last year. They miss Bryce Brown. They miss him from last year. They don't have Jackson, who's 100%. I mean, Murray's not even 100%. I mean, he's been playing, but he's not like 100%. And Joker, he got into a little bit of trouble last game. And so I don't
Mhm.
feel confident in them. I don't feel like they're going to repeat as the champion. Minnesota is 10 guys to 11 guys deep on their team. They win this series and they sweep the series in four games. I just
Wow.
prefer the better team as of right now,
Let's go.
and Minnesota is the better team. Ant-Man Edwards, I love that dude. And then you got Cat, and then of course, I mean all their other guys. I mean they're awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, dude. It's so fun watching Anthony. It's just so many young guys this postseason. The big three, Brunson, Shea, and him. But
Yeah.
I just he slows the game. It's funny, obviously in the past the Nuggets are that kind of methodical, very slow pace. Joker's able to, dictate the pace of the game, but and Edwards, dude, he likes to slow the game down as well. Obviously, he's that explosive, blow by
Yes.
you type of guy, but dude, he is so patient with his looks and lets the play develop. He's so fluid with his movements, so fun to watch. And but also they've really rattled Denver a lot,
Yes.
sending so many different looks, picking up full court.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Denver really expected this.
Their defense blitzed and they swarmed and they suffocated Denver in game two without Gobert, without their defensive player on a top defensive team in the league.
Hmm.
Their guys stepped up. They stopped Murray. They stopped Jokic. I mean, they couldn't even. Murray was 3 for 18 in game two. He couldn't get a shot off because of the swarming defense. And give credit to Finch. I think he should be coach of the year. I think he and Thibodeau and definitely Bickerstaff of Cleveland, those are guys that you have to look at coach of the year candidates. And also Ed Edwards to me, he's so dominant. He's so forceful. He
Hmm.
reminds me of Chris Webber from back in
Really,
the day. He
I like
reminds
that
me, but
comparison.
but he's a little bit more strong. He's more strong and he's more physical to the rim.
Yeah. Just the trajectory of kind of this the each year him slowly improving and then now being able to display it, at the national level and in such a pivotal matchup against the defending champs. Um,
Yeah,
it's so, and just the way he embodies in the game, he has so much fun. He plays the way it's supposed to. He's an entertainer, he he's the king of one-liners, he's so
yeah,
many. He's just he's the type of guy you want to root for.
yeah. He's so dominant and forceful. You can't stop him.
Hmm. So it sounds like we want Boston, New York, OKC versus the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
We both want it. Um, but yeah, it's been a really fun postseason so far. You called Milwaukee. Uh, no Giannis,
Yep.
Damian Lillard. That trade just it's gonna be a head scratcher for years, I think. I think it will. And so obviously I'm pretty upset that the Bucks aren't in anymore, but um
Same with my Warriors at the beginning of the playoffs.
yeah,
I mean,
oh my gosh, dude.
yeah.
Talk about the off-season choices they're gonna have to make with a lot of older
Oh
players.
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Obviously
They're
that,
gonna
yeah.
they're gonna tear that team apart. They're
Yeah.
just you know, and that's why I chose another team for this postseason.
Yeah.
That's why I had to go with the New York Knicks.
The torch has been passed, but
I mean, I still love my Warriors, but I mean, they're gonna eventually tear that team up.
yeah.
And Seattle will have a team here pretty soon. So
Yeah, they've been teasing for so long. Let's not forget this was the team that, obviously Kevin Durant was drafted to, and then Russell Westbrook too. Like I think they moved
yeah,
a few weeks later.
Clay
So
Bennett,
we were robbed.
unbelievable.
We were robbed.
The Oklahoma City Traders.
Yep. But we're still rooting for the Thunder this year. I'm just glad they've never worn Sonic throwback jerseys.
Oh, thank goodness.
That would
Yeah.
be terrible. That would be so disrespectful.
And of course, old Sonic records, retired jersey numbers, the 1979 championship. None of those have been hung up in Oklahoma City. Thank goodness.
I guess before we go, one question potentially for the off season. This is just if the Phoenix Suns, who were swept by the Timberwolves, if they decide to blow it up this off season, I doubt they will, but could you see Kevin Durant knocking on OKC's door and asking, "Hey, come get me. You have all the picks. I'm over here."
Maybe, but if Seattle's back,
Oh.
if the
That would be
Supersonics are
2 years
back,
from now,
yeah, which will be a
at
few more
minimum.
years.
Or
Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, either way, I mean, maybe, but I mean, they need they need serious help down there in Phoenix. They got
yeah,
imploded right
yeah,
before they even stepped on the floor.
yeah. I know, dude. I mean, the Bradley Beal trade itself, like, that didn't really hurt them. It was Chris Paul in the deal who then got flipped, but the other moves, dude, they gutted their roster. It's yeah. They
Yeah,
were, they went from, being in the finals to, thinking they were going to be there every year after, and yeah, no. So,
yeah, no visionary down there in Phoenix.
mm-mm.
They ended up getting rid of Monty Williams, and then they put Vogel in there, and he's never been good ever since he had LeBron in that first bubble championship.
Yep. So, but yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about before we sign off?
I mean, the Joker winning the MVP. I
Yeah.
mean, he deserved it. There were other there were other candidates that I was looking at that I felt like give them a little bit of motivation, give them some talk, praise. Definitely Ant, definitely Shea. I mean
Yeah.
Luca, but I mean the Joker. To be honest, I mean he deserved that award, and thank goodness, Mister Soft as a stick of butter didn't win the MVP. Joel
Oh
Embiid.
boy.
I would have, I would have, I would have had a feud for that one.
Yeah, no chance, dude. Gosh.
You
MB,
imagine
dude.
he's in Jamaica right now. He's
He's on
he's stretching out the
vacation.
leg. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. He better be stretching out that knee, dude. Oh.
Sorry, Weiss. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, that was another great episode, dude. Um,
Yeah, it's perfect.
we will see you guys next week. But yeah, remember to like, comment. We appreciate all the
Subscribe.
support. Subscribe. But yeah, this has been another Daniel Duncan show episode. We will see you later. Peace.
Peace.